Good morning and welcome to Kingdom Media 101. I'm trying to show you how to do better productions. And last time we spoke about how to do this from your smartphone. As promised, we are now moving to the side where we are saying, okay, we want to do some productions from our computers. And then we have to ask ourselves the questions. Are we going to do audio or are we going to do video? Or are we going to do audio and video? That will surely make a bit of a difference in terms of what computer we select. So let's get into this, and I'm going to divide this. If we're going to doing our audio or our video from our computer, I'm going to divide this into, again, hardware, software, and techniques. So we're going to talk about some hardware. The first piece of hardware we're going to discuss in this video is the computer. So if you already know a lot about computers and you already know how to check the specs, that sort of thing, you can actually switch this off and just forward to the next one because you don't want to get bored with the basics, because this is really going to be the basics. I'm not going for the top end here. So let's go to display 2, and I've got on display 2 here, I've got my computer specs. Now, how did I get this? I went to my desktop and I found this PC in Windows 10, my computer in Windows 7. I right click on the icon and then I go to properties. Now, this is some of the specs that I need to know in terms of making a decision. Is my computer, the current computer that I have, is it going to be adequate to do audio? And is it going to be adequate to maybe do audio and video? There's another few factors, but I'll talk as we go along. Let's look at this list here. So if you look at that system information at top there, you've got, first of all, your CPU, your central processing unit. That tells you what processor you have. Now, the CPU is important, especially when it comes to video editing. A lot of times when you're running a video editing project and you're using video editing software or you're streaming, you get to the position where you are running multi-cores from your CPU and multi-threads to your memory banks and to other components on the board. So I've got a i7, but now what Intel made was they made a dual-core, which was an Intel dual-core, and they made a Celeron. The Celeron is the budget chip, and then the dual-core is a bit better. And then they made an i3, an i5, and an i7. Those are the CPUs. If I have to be honest with audio production, if you are using your PC dedicated, in other words, this PC doesn't have a lot of other stuff on it, a lot of other software that you've loaded, you can rather, then you have the two choices. You can buy a sort of cost-effective PC for this, which is not an expensive PC with an i7 CPU, but then you sort of use this computer for this function. But if you sort of are using your computer for multiple functions, then you have to look at all the components. And then I would say, if you're going for video production, stuff like that, you need a minimum of an i5. If you're just going for audio production, and you're using your computer for multiple stuff, I say you could possibly get away with the i3, because I've got an i3 that I use many times for audio productions and for other stuff in the church, and it works well. But you won't be able to really go for your Celeron or those machines. So that's just something to keep in mind as far as the CPU is concerned. There's quite a price difference. So, but for more information, you can contact me. I'll send my contact details. I'll put it on the screen in a while, so you can have a look, and we can give you free advice. If you're in the George area, even if you're from other areas, we can still give you free advice. We can come in via TeamViewer or AnyDesk and have a look at your system for you. For the Kingdom, we don't mind giving those services for free. Installed RAM, your random access memory. Now, this is your running memory. So again, if you are running Google Chrome, Dropbox, Skype, everything that you use on your computer will use RAM. And once you push Control-Alt-Delete, and I can't do it now because then I'll kick out of the video, but if you push Control-Alt-Delete, you get to what is known as your task manager. Your task manager will tell you how much of your CPU is being used percentage-wise, how much of your RAM is being used, and how your disk write is going. And just to simplify this, if you look at a computer opening an application, the CPU will initially open the app. If it's an intense app, running a lot of memory, say for instance a Corel Draw file or a graphics file with 200, 300 meg file, the CPU will work quite hard on that at that stage, but only at the opening phase. That application will run into your memory. And what we call sort of when your computer bottles out on resources, that is when you probably have like program crashes and stuff like that. So with RAM, the saying is the more the merrier. So the more the merrier. CPU, the stronger you can afford, the better. But it's not necessary that you probably have to buy a new computer. If you have existing computer, you could possibly use that. You might have to take one of the computers in your house or in your ministry and just, what I would say, to a degree, if it's an old computer that's been lying around for a long time, I would format it. If it's, for instance, a dual-core machine and you've got 4 gigs RAM, I would just get a second 4 gig chip and take it up to 8 gig RAM at least. Windows 10 is quite intense on RAM, so it uses quite a lot of RAM. So what you would find is, for instance, before you've actually loaded a lot of software, just with the basic software, the basic installation of Windows 10, your RAM's already using 2 gig. So if you've got a 4 gig system, then already 50% of your memory is full before you start. So for me, that can be quite dangerous. So I would not want to bottleneck out on my RAM. So, I mean, the CPU on laptops, you can't really change. You could years ago, but these days they're integrated. Sometimes on desktop computers, even if you have an old desktop, if you advertise on Gumtree or OLX in South Africa and you're looking for a specific CPU, you could possibly find, if you've got an old Celeron or dual-core machine, I have actually sold second-hand CPUs like i7s, which is new, about 6,000-7,000 Rand. I've sold them for 200 Rands, because it's a previous generation. You can see there, when you see i7 and you see 7700, that is the chip's manufacture number, which means actually, in most cases, with most of the Intel CPUs, that is an indication also of the generation. So my machine is a 7th gen, and at the recording of this video, we are already selling 10th gen. So, I mean, my machine is not new, but you can also Google that number and get all the specifics of the CPU, how much threads, how much cores, everything. So you can find out everything. If you are going to buy video editing software, then I suggest you go to the video editing software's manufacturer's website and you go and look at the technical specifications. A lot of times they will tell you in that software you need to get an i5, and they will also sometimes even tell you the generation, and they will tell you how much RAM you need, and they will tell you how much disk space you need. Now, if you look at a computer, and I'm ending off with this because I don't want to make this boring, and I hope I'm not boring you, but if you look at a computer, you are looking at, I would say, RAM, random access memory, and a lot of times, I mean, I've got loads of second-hand chips lying around, so people have RAM chips lying everywhere. It's easy to upgrade. You're also looking at the CPU. With desktop computers, you can upgrade that. If you are going to be going the video route and you are going to be doing visual, then I would say you need to invest in the best possible CPU you can afford. Even if you have an old machine, and you can find a second-hand CPU, because a lot of times, honestly, the thing that goes wrong in computers is the motherboard. So there's a lot of old CPUs lying out there. You just need to find them. And if you look at your board, if you open your computer box and you look at your model number on your main board, you Google that, you will find what what chip it is that it supports. It will tell you 1155, and it will tell you it supports 5 and 6 and 7th gen chips. So then when you get the chip or an offer of a chip, you can ask the seller for the model number. You can Google it and see if it's compatible. You can also go as far as to ask the seller and say you want to test the chip in your board before you pay him or buy the chip from him. And like, I mean, for the Kingdom, we actually will install that for you and test it for you. And if you don't have money, then we will also not charge you. It's not about, for us, it's not about making money. It's about building a kingdom. We have to earn money, yes. So we do that. But mostly, I mean, when people come to me and they say, look, Richard, I'm using this for the kingdom. I'm in ministry. Can you help me? I will help anybody that is using his computer for ministry purposes. Give and take. A lot of guys will take advantage of that offer, but I must say, most of the guys that I've dealt with in the past, they've really been very sincere. So look at the chip, look at RAM, and then the third component, which will really surprise you, is called the hard drive. That is the storage drive. But I mean, the storage sizes are fine. You can always copy stuff off your PC to an external storage. So if you have a bit of a space problem, a space problem can be a problem if you're running out of disk space. So you need to look at your disk space. And again, there you can go to this PC. You just open this PC. And once you've opened this PC, you will actually get a screen that shows all the hard drives in your computer. So let me show you that as we're there on display 2. I've just double-clicked this PC, where last time I went right-click and I went properties. And here it will show the drives in the computer. And you can see here, sometimes when you see drive letters, like you see C there and you see D there, a lot of times when it's small partitions, like that's a 10 gig partition, or sorry, 71, and that's 143. A lot of times that is what we call a partition drive. So it's one hard drive, but it's actually divided into 2 logical partitions. A lot of times it's done by the manufacturers because of the fact that viruses a lot of times attack C drive. So a lot of people feel that when they've got recovery software, they run it on the D drive. So if the virus attacks C drive and there is a disaster recovery option in the laptop's BIOS, you can actually recover the laptop on startup. You recover it straight out, and it pulls that software from the uninfected D half of the drive, and then it will actually obviously format all your data, get rid of the virus, and you will end up actually having a factory default laptop, which means your data is gone, but also means that it's again useful. And then this 1 terabyte E drive, this is actually a secondary drive. So my computer is a laptop, but it's got what is known as a SSD drive, a solid state drive in, which is chip memory. So it looks like a RAM chip. Well, these ones are the NVMe's and the M.2s. They look like little RAM chips, and they just slot into the motherboard like a RAM chip would. And then it's got the standard 2.5 drive, which is your standard drive. Now, there's also a difference. If you're doing a drive upgrade and you're upgrading from a standard drive, which has a spinning motor and has a head that moves on different sectors on the platters to try and find the data, your older drives are much, much slower. Your chip memory drives is much faster. So a nice upgrade as well for an old computer is to actually put in a solid state drive rather than the old type of drive, and just do a drive replacement. A lot of times you can actually clone the drive, so you don't need to necessarily reload everything. You run software. We run software. We clone the drive. We remove the 2.5 drive out of the laptop, and then we just install the new SSD drive. And that a lot of times is a solution, because if you have an old laptop and you want to do some audio editing, it might be an old Duo-Core or even a Centrino. If you put a SSD in that, and you maybe add one little second-hand RAM chip to that, your audio productions will work 100%. You don't need to buy another computer for that. You can just take that old computer and just fix it up to be able to do that. So, well, this has been Kingdom Media 101, and I've just given you sort of an overview of the computer that you will require to either do audio or video production. And as I've said, it's all about budgets, and it's all about what you can afford, and then it's also all about what you have. And I've got a reputation for making things work. I spoke to my lawyer yesterday, and he was actually, I said to him, somebody's calling me Las and Lap. because I'm a bit eccentric there. I try and take old laptops, old computers, and I try and make them work. And that's just sort of for me a hobby in our business. But I've also helped, like my lawyer, for instance, he had some very old computers, and I could actually, fix him up with a power supply with RAM and that. So I'm a stern believer in recycling stuff and making what you have work, not necessarily, just spending huge amounts of money and just buying hardware at random. I would rather, to be honest with you, if you have existing computer, I would rather assess that computer and see what it can do, and then invest the money in the next hardware that we're going to be discussing, and that is how to actually get the audio signal into your computer. And you will notice there, there's huge options, and it can also become extremely expensive. But out of my experience, I will again tell you what I found worked for me. And it's not necessarily that that's going to be what you want, but what worked for me in my ministry. And then you can make a decision. And I'm also trying, I spoke to some of the guys yesterday, both a professional recording studio, a guy that specializes in recording, to come and give us some real hints on how to make that recording of yours crystal clear and how to get your voice the best that you can. And then I also spoke to a hardware seller, a reseller of the hardware that we need, and asked them if we could get some expert advice on the different types of hardware and what the options are and what the pros and the cons are. So we're going to be talking about that, and they've sort of agreed to it. So it will be time for us to get to that. So we might have to skip the hardware, or do a helicopter view of the recording hardware, and then focus in on the software that we're going to be using, and then get back to some of those things, looking at them from an expert level. Because again, I'm saying, man, I'm just a guy who's been in the IT industry for 17 years. I've been in ministry for 29 years. So, and I've got a heart for the kingdom, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm not selling myself as an expert, and the videos that I'm doing here is by far not expert videos. This is just to stimulate you and to trigger you so that you can go in deeper with this and then live out your ministry effectively. I believe Kingdom Media 101 was an idea that the Lord spoke in my heart, because of the fact that media is going to become more and more critical. If we look at the newer generations, they're all media driven, they're video driven, they're audio driven. And we might not get those guys in our churches ever. The unchurched is becoming the local citizens of our cities. We don't need to go to the east anymore to find the unchurched. They're living right next to us. And a lot of them will never attend our services. They will never attend our churches. But we can get them on social media. We can get them on WhatsApp. We can get them on email, and we can get the message out there. And what I want to do is to share what I've learned over so many years. And I must tell you, it's really come with trial and error. But to share that as a starting point, and then get some experts in that can actually really give you some very good advice. So if you want to contact me, there's my contact details. If you want more information, you're welcome to email me, WhatsApp me, call me. Like I say, we've got an IT business, and I will give you some free advice. You don't need to pay for the advice. Actually, the IT business is right across the road from the ministry and from the library building that we have there. Last year, we distributed 40,000 outreach tracts from that library building. So it's really had an impact in our community. We've distributed food parcels and all sorts of things during COVID-19. It's run totally separate from the business, obviously, and also from my personal finances. So if you want to invest and partner with a ministry, you can do that. There is the details. But like I say, I'm not stressing that. I always say, if you have a local church, then support that church. Your tithe, your offerings, they need to go to your church. If you over and above have something that you want to sow and give, you can, just to sustain this work. But remember, it's not you that sustain this work, it's God, because if He said it, He will pay it. So I'm just saying that as an opportunity for you to partner with us, but it's not one of the main focal areas of these videos that we make. So we've spoken about hardware. We're talking about recording audio and video on your desktop or your computer, your laptop computer, and we spoke a bit about PCs. And for more information, you will need to contact me. And next, we plan to speak about the recording hardware, again, from a helicopter view, from what the options are, how you can get that signal into your computer. And then we will get experts in later, because they're a bit busy now, but we will get the experts in later to give us some more info on that. And then we're going to jump into the recording software. And again, there, I watched YouTube. I must be honest. I did a sound engineering course years ago, but I watched YouTube, and I've asked a lot of the guys that I know in the industry that for some advice. And what I'm going to give you is what I know. And even the stuff I do for radio, when I produce audio for radio for my podcast, I'm going to give you that information. But that, again, is probably, there will be people online, especially from the US and from Europe, that will laugh at my videos and they will say, no, but we want deeper information. Well, there are guys doing that, but I'm just giving a helicopter view of my favorite word. I'm going to give you the helicopter view, and I'm going to bless you with that. And then you can really dig into it. There are millions of YouTube videos. You can spend hours getting yourself to expert level. And then I want to actually go into OBS, because OBS is something that I've learned. Also, again, what I want to do, I can do in OBS, but I'm going to take you through OBS, which will put you in a position at the end of this entire Kingdom Media 101. I believe you will be able to actually get a webcam, even go as low as using your laptop's webcam, and actually do your own little video productions, which with your webcam on your laptop will not look that good. But if you're willing to spend 800 or 900 Rand on a webcam and a bit of money on your audio hardware, you will be able to actually have your own media ministry, which I believe is powerful, because there you can do discipleship training, you can record discipleship training, you can send teaching videos out to your congregation members or people that you know. You can advertise events, make little promotional videos. You can do so much without sort of going off the rails. You would be able to do that after just watching these sessions that we're doing. So God bless you and have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next session.